Yeah.
How's the coat drive?
Coming along.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is a special meeting of the Laguna Beach City Council, Monday, December 9th, 2024. And Anne Marie, could you call the roll call, please?
Almost forgot that part. Councilmember Orgill,
Here.
Councilmember Weiss,
Here.
Councilmember Whalen,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Renagi,
Here.
Mayor Kemp.
Here. Okay, this time we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please rise for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Okay, just to give you a quick run through what we're going to be doing tonight, we'll have a relatively brief meeting. So this is called the Reorganization of the City Council. The first thing we do is we certify the results of the November 5, 2024 election. That'll be done by our city clerk, Anne Marie McKay. And then we'll have a presentation to the outgoing council member, George Weiss. We'll have comments following that. We'll have comments by outgoing council member, George Weiss. Have members of the public, if they'd like to comment, we'll have some public comment there. We'll have presentations to the outgoing mayor. Then we'll be followed by the swearing in ceremony. I will swear in Anne Marie McKay as the city treasurer, and Anne Marie will swear in Laura Parisi, Bob Whalen, and Hallie Jones. Then we'll do the selection of the mayor and the mayor pro tem, and then Katrina Foley has the presentation as well, and that will be the end of our meeting. So with that, I'll turn it over to Anne Marie McKay for the certification of the results of the election.
Thank you, Mayor. I will now announce the facts of the 2024 general municipal election, and then I'll have the City Council adopt a resolution certifying the results. The 2024 general municipal election for the purpose of voting in 2 city council members, 1 city clerk, and 1 city treasurer, all for the term of 4 years, was held on November 5th, 2024. The election was certified by the Registrar of Voters on December 3rd, 2024. Candidates for City Council in ballot order were Bob Whalen, Hallie Jones, George Weiss, and Judy Mancuso. Anne Marie McKay was the only candidate for City Clerk, and Laura Parisi was the only candidate for City Treasurer. The total number of ballots cast were 15,231. For City Council, Bob Whalen received 7,029 votes. Hallie Jones received 6,851 votes. George Weiss received 5,141 votes. And Judy Mancuso received 4,013 votes. For City Clerk, Anne Marie McKay received 10,431 votes. For City Treasurer, Laura Parisi received 10,469 votes. Bob Whalen and Hallie Jones were elected to serve on the City Council. Anne Marie McKay was elected to serve as City Clerk, and Laura Parisi was elected to serve as City Treasurer, all for 4-year terms. So I would like to now have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution declaring these results of the election.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor, if I could have you administer the oath of office to me, and then I will administer the oath to the newly elected. Did I go out of order though?
You're out of order, yeah.
Out of order. We're doing the presentations, yes. Let's
Madam
do that
Clerk, you're
first.
out of order. Okay. And you haven't even been sworn in yet.
You know?
Okay. All right, now we are going to have a presentation to outgoing Councilmember George Weiss. And that's going to be done by, I think, our city manager.
That's right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to read a proclamation commending George Weiss for his service to the City Council from 2020 to 2024. Whereas Councilmember Weiss has diligently pursued issues of importance to the community, its residents, and has provided leadership for numerous projects beyond what is described in this proclamation. And whereas in 2022, Councilmember Weiss co-developed a resolution calling for citywide efforts to address climate change, demonstrating a strong commitment to environmental stewardship by setting an ambitious target to achieve local carbon neutrality by 2045. And whereas Councilmember Weiss has been an early and vocal supporter of the city's efforts to develop a comprehensive climate action and adaptation plan, ensuring that the city is equipped to mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change. And Whereas Councilmember Weiss has actively promoted landscaping with native vegetation to conserve water, enhance biodiversity, and create more resilient and sustainable urban environments. And whereas Councilmember Weiss has provided valuable leadership working with the Environmental Sustainability Committee to support and pass a ban on the sale and use of balloons in public places to protect our marine and avian life in our community from fires. And whereas Councilmember Weiss has advocated for funds for over $4 million in improvements to Laguna Beach's branch library and to keep the library at its current location, along with strong efforts to expand the communication between the city and the county public library system. And whereas Councilmember Weiss helped broker conversations between the Rivian team and the Laguna Beach Historic Preservation Coalition to renovate the long-shuttered South Coast Theater on Coast Highway as a showroom for Rivian and as a center for community events. And whereas Councilmember Weiss advocated with the fire department in support of the renovation of the 1931 Seagrave fire engine, the first fire engine owned by the city. The Seagrave also serves as Santa's ride to the annual Hospitality Night celebration in downtown Laguna. And whereas prior to his service on the council, Councilmember Weiss served as president and past president of the Laguna Beach Beautification Council, chair of Laguna Beach's Housing and Human Services Committee, and president of the Laguna Beach Film Society. And whereas Councilmember Weiss also served his nation honorably in the United States Marine Corps. Now, therefore, in this case, Anne Marie is signing this, and as city clerk for Laguna Beach, I'm proud to recognize Councilmember Weiss for his 4 years of dedicated service to the city of Laguna Beach, dated December 9th. And Councilmember Weiss also gets his tile, the city of Laguna Beach tile, to go on his wall at home. Congratulations.
2 awards?
2 awards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I have a few comments I'd like to make. And they're short. First of all, I want to congratulate Bob and Hallie for their win, their election victories. And the outcome of the election didn't end as a campaign as I had hoped, but I'm very grateful for the support I received from so many residents. And I wouldn't have been able to accomplish what I did without you. My intention for running was to be an advocate for Laguna residents. I was never intended to be a politician. And despite the election results, my commitment to the city and to its residents will not change. I will be here. A heartfelt thank you again to those who voted for me and supported me over the last 4 years. I could not have accomplished what I did without you, and that's the truth, the honest truth. Also, I wrote this down, so I have to read it. I scribbled it in. While the last 4 years were challenging, we got a lot done and managed to accomplish a lot working together. I will keep my campaign committee alive as I consider whether to run again in 2026. In the meantime, I'll be thinking about how to stay politically active as a resident, and I appreciate your input. Thanks again, and see you at the City Council meeting tomorrow night.
Okay, anybody who'd like to say a few words about Councilmember Weiss, you can come forward now.
Hello, my name is Joy Berry, and I just want to say it's so much easier, and it's so much easier to go along with the consensus or to go along with your colleagues. It takes nothing to join a crowd, but it takes everything to stand alone. To go against the grain is the secret of bravery, and that is what you showed us, George, for the last 4 years. You were brave to challenge your colleagues and to challenge the city staff. I've traveled throughout the United States, and every day that I'm here in Laguna, I think, I am so lucky because I just love this charming community and town. I'm grateful to you for your bravery, for trying to keep this town from getting overdeveloped to another soulless community of concrete boxes and McMansions. It takes everything to stand alone. But in the end, as you can see, you won't be alone because now we have your back and we'll be there for you. So thank you for being there for us for the last 4 years. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy.
My name is William Dodge. This speech is certainly not going to make me popular with the majority of this crowd. You know, during his tenure here, George Weiss has demonstrated dishonesty and misogyny. He's started off well on the 12th of July, 2022, when he appointed me to a committee stating that I was a highly qualified candidate. However, on the 21st of March, 2023, also my 6-year-old son's birthday, he released a newsletter full of lies about the renovation of my home. He tried to unduly influence plan and building. He never once visited my home, nor talked to my family when our case was appealed to City Council after an overwhelming DRB approval. We invited him to tour our home, but he refused. His cowardice affected the lives of 3 small children. However, we as a neighborhood came together, presenting convincing evidence in the case to the City Council. The strong women of Laguna Beach, such as Donna Labano and Arlana Liao, used science to dispute claims made by Mr. Weiss. All this for pay to play.
Hey, Dr. Dot, I think we're trying to have like a positive, upbeat
Okay,
ceremony.
all right. Mayor, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You can come tomorrow night. you
What's
know.
that?
You can come tomorrow night and talk about me all you want, but your neighbors were very upset about all that you did without permits for a year.
Okay, let's try to have an upbeat. This is
Okay.
a nice night. We're recognizing Councilmember Weiss and
Yes.
swearing in new people. Thank you. Thank you.
Tom Osborne, lived here 50 years. And George, you're a fresh breeze that has blown through council chambers, and I'm very grateful for your service. I commend you for your courage. You stood up to bullies, one of whom was a member of our city council not too long ago, another of whom was a former city manager. You spoke up, you stood up, and we knew where you stood on the issues. And I, like many people in this room, appreciated your recaps. The recaps after council meetings. You have been a tribune of the people of Laguna Beach. You kept us informed about what was going on, and for that we are very grateful. And I'm particularly grateful for your work with the Environmental Sustainability Committee. I was on that committee at one time, and when I was on it, never did we have a council member who was our liaison who came to the meetings, much less knew what was going on. There are 1 or 2 members of that committee that I was on in this room right now, and they'll attest to what I just said. You, however, came to these meetings. I came to some of the meetings, and you always knew what was going on. You followed the details, and you cared about the issues. So for that, again, I commend you. And on top of that, you're an opera aficionado. I mean, that doesn't
Thank
get
you,
much
Tom.
better.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Hi, John Thomas, and I'm going to kind of combine my comments about George and welcome to the other councils. That way you don't have to listen to me twice tonight. I want to thank all of our Laguna Beach elected officials, the newly elected, newly re-elected, those in the middle of their term, and the soon-to-be newest former member of the City Council for their many hours of time and effort spent in the public interest. And my thanks to those on or formerly on the City Council for taking on the job of keeping our community safe, the streets clean, and judiciously stewarding the public's funds, and doing so in a job with long hours and poor pay. As George Weiss was not reelected, I want to specifically thank George for his hard work, for his intellect, for his insistence on transparency from the city government, and for always putting the best interests of the residents of Laguna Beach as his top priority. It has always seemed so obvious to me that the job of the people elected by the residents of Laguna Beach as the representatives of the residents of Laguna Beach should be to have the interests of the residents as their top priority. And yet too often we see pet projects, special interests, and even people who are not residents of the city of Laguna Beach trumping the interests of Laguna Beach residents. To his credit, George consistently did his best to put the interests of Laguna residents first. And speaking as a resident of South Laguna, I'm grateful that George was also well informed about and well attuned to the needs of this part of Laguna. And finally, for perspective, going forward, there were well over 15,000 ballots cast in the city council election, and no city council candidate got a numerical majority of the ballots cast. And more than 5,100 Laguna Beach residents cast their vote for George and what he has done for the city. So I hope the newly elected council will do as good a job as George has done of making the residents of Laguna Beach the top priority in his decisions. Thank you, George, and congratulations to Bob, Hallie, where we are, Laura, and Anne Marie.
Thanks, John.
Ann Kane, President of Village Laguna. And like others, I just wanted to really thank George for his service. Our members really appreciated the fact that we could always contact you. You did research for us, you gave us your best opinions, and were thoughtful in your answers. And we very much appreciate what you've done for us and putting residents first. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Hi, Michelle Monda. Wow, council majority. I really underestimated you four. Just when I didn't think you could get any more petty, any more mean, any more, I hate George, you do this tonight. This has never been done before.
As I mentioned before to the other speaker, we're trying to have an upbeat
Oh,
ceremony
I'm going to
here.
get upbeat, but right now,
We're just trying to
say,
keep this on the
right
positive.
now, I need to let you four know how disgusting you cut me off? How extraordinary this meeting is. You have managed to marginalize him and treat him like garbage for the last time. So George, this is all about you, and it absolutely is upbeat because I want to thank you for all you've done, despite everything they have done to put obstacles in your way, despite all the things that they have said, despite their campaigning against you, which I've never heard of anybody doing. You have managed to rise above it all. You have always been there for the residents. You're the one who said we shouldn't be buying Tiamo without an appraisal. It makes no sense. Listen to the 60 residents who spoke. Thank you for that. Thank you for stopping the midnight sale of the library on spring break when nobody was here to fight it. Thank you for finding that. Thank you for thank you for all the things that you have done for residents because you have been the only voice there. Mostly thank you for getting rid of the last city manager. And now we have a wonderful city manager. So thank you for putting, at least you won't be there, but at least we've got one person up there who's going to be the voice of reason. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
I had the pleasure of sitting next to George for a number of meetings. And I was pretty much flying solo for a long time and getting battered and beaten by a bully that sat right over there. And when he would come after me, it was really interesting. When I tried to respond, the microphone would be turned off and we'd call it off. I'm pretty good at defending myself, but I wasn't as good as George was. I had a Marine sitting next to me. And man, when he saw what was happening to me, he would come to my rescue as a real gentleman, and I so appreciate it. Sometimes I'd have to grab his arm and say, "It's okay, I can survive." But man, it felt good. And for a long time, I didn't have that kind of support, but that's who George is. He's brave, he's wise, he's independent, and he does his homework, and nobody responds to an email as fast as George does. I think he gets fast like that. But there's a new period of time, at least 2 years, that you're probably, I don't know if you're going to be tempted to watch the council meetings, but you may be compelled to watch the council meetings. But I know that you and Deborah, I suspect, will be sitting side by side trying to think of something else to do. And I have the perfect thing for you to do. The Art Museum had a Joseph Kleich exhibit. And one of the things they had was a puzzle, a 300-piece puzzle of the old post office. And if you sit in closed session and you look in that room and you think, they're going to rob us, somebody's going to, never mind. It is just an incredible piece of art. And so now I have something for you and Deborah. And you can do it while you're watching the council meetings or instead of watching the council meetings. But anyway, thank you. You have been the most amazing, hardworking, smart, dedicated soul. We're very grateful.
Thank you.
My eyes are getting better, actually. You know, one of the traditions we had at the OSCE, the international organization I worked at, is similar to what we're doing tonight. When someone would leave, there would be a presentation to the person, and then that person would make a few comments. And one of the ones that was particularly memorable for me, in fact, I remember it to this day, was upon the departure of one of our Russian Federation delegates. She was perhaps the smartest in the room. She was admittedly the best prepared, extremely articulate, but she was always at odds with the majority of her colleagues, who were mostly from the West. So you can imagine. But after the general pleasantries and, you know, everybody said some nice things about her and it was her turn to respond, she said something, I've never forgotten this. She said that she hoped that everyone would one day have the same opportunity she had had to be in the minority trying to convince everyone else of her position. She said it forced her to be well prepared and to learn to communicate persuasively. I think George has found himself in a similar position for these past 4 years, often having to represent his constituents' ideas when their views didn't always correspond with the majority of others' views. So at the OSCE, most of us agreed, including those in the Secretariat and the other delegates, agreed that because of our Russian colleagues' dedication, her willingness to articulate opposing views, and her persuasive talents, that we generally came to better decisions. And I think the same thing can be said of George's contributions to the council. So I join with everybody else here to thank him for his service and wish him well, and go get that puzzle.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
I'm Bill Levin, and I'm here on behalf of the local charity. It's the Ability Awareness Project, prevent bullying in the schools, and also leads the Laguna Kindness Group. So I wanted to thank George and I remember this going back to the days when you were running against my old law partner, Steve Dictero, being impressed by how civil and kind you were, and during the arguments, which sometimes got heated in certain places, but things have really improved, and appreciate everything you've done, being independent and speaking your mind, and being a good advocate for everybody in Laguna Beach. So, and I also, so as not to come up here again, wanted to thank every member of the board for supporting ability awareness and spreading kindness and civility in the city of Laguna Beach. You're a member of the World Kindness Group, and I think it's an important message to send, no matter what our views on, different topics. So I have for each of you, and you get to pick a color, a message to spread kindness and in honor of your service and support, and everything you've done for us and for the city. Your choice of, and they say, keep Laguna kind. And, I'm going to leave these with Anne Marie, if that's okay, and you can have your hats afterwards.
Thank you, Bill.
Feel free to party with them.
Thank you, Bill.
Allison King. George, I'm very grateful to you for all that you've done for the residents of Laguna Beach in the last 4 years. I won't enumerate all the things that have been said, but I would like to especially thank you for your enlightening city council recaps and other communications that you've given to the residents of Laguna Beach. These reports provided us with the truth as opposed to some of the propaganda. I deem it as propaganda and self-serving missives that came out of City Hall. So I appreciate your efforts at transparency. I'm just very saddened that your time has come and gone. But hopefully in 2 years, you will come back and we may have some more transparency. Thank you again.
Thank you, Allison.
Hi, my name is Chris Katsmanis. After Tony Eisman decided not to run again, and we all know the reason why, George was the only council member that really took the fiduciary responsibility that you all have He took it seriously. His recaps, which by the way, some of us have no idea how much time he spent on that just to give us what is actually happening in the council. And when he had an opinion, he always identified it as such. So we knew that was his opinion, but there were the facts. And that took a tremendous amount of time. And he exposed things like the hopefully ill-fated church, Presbyterian church parking lot for what it was, and also the fact that the Laguna Canyon roadway takeover went from about a $40 million estimate by, I guess, the staff of the city to now, which is arguably 164 million, taking into consideration everything that we have to do. And George was the one that would bring things like this out. George, you always listened to the residents' concerns and you did something about it, answered their questions, dug in to find out what was going on. And I think many people appreciate that. And with your absence, the city residents have lost a badly needed voice. I express my sincere thanks to you, George, for your 4 years of always putting the residents first. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Chris.
Good evening. I'm Jacob Cherub, and I'm very confused. I came here tonight not wondering, because we have a new way that we are going to have our new officers put in. So now that's on a Monday night. We used to do it on the Tuesday night. So we also have an outgoing member of the council. And I wasn't sure whether we would be spending the time tonight or tomorrow night or tonight and tomorrow night. But first of all, I'd like to congratulate Councilmember Whalen and our Councilmember-elect Hallie. You have some very deep responsibilities upcoming. Now, there have been people who've lived in this town longer than I. I've been here for 35 years. I've seen many council members, mayors pro tem, city managers, legal counsel, clerks, and we went through a very dark time that started several years ago. And I think whatever anyone's political persuasion might be, I think we all have to agree that it really tested how we treat one another in Laguna Beach. And I think that cap, I'd really like to get one of those, because even when, like the gentleman said earlier, when Councilman Dick Durow or Mayor Dick Durow, and there were different, we disagreed, we weren't vicious with each other. And so I'm encouraging the council to continue in that way, our new mayor to continue in that way, our new mayor pro tem to continue that way. I'm very pleased. You know, we had that time that came together with our particular council member, a particular city manager, a particular assault on the town by an organization that really tried to bamboozle the town. And fortunately, we seem to have ridden through those shoals. And now we have a new group, and I don't say lightly, it's a big responsibility, because those intentions by those really hasn't gone away. But I would like to say to Councilmember Weiss that you emerged through those dark times, and we relied on you during those dark times, among others. But you were a target, just like Tony was a target. And here you are, standing tall, and I am very appreciative of what you've done. I'm not sure if others had mentioned, but you produced a summary of what went on. You know, our fourth estate is not as robust as it used to be. We used to have 2 good newspapers here in town. We had political reporters so that the members of town, the citizens, could see what was going on by going to the newspaper. We don't have that so much. Our newspaper, like all newspapers, are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And so you were a clarion to share this information. And I think we really need to do that going forward. And I think you've set a bar with that. There are those who disagree with you, and their opinions are no less valid than yours or mine or others. But how we go through those kinds of disagreements really is a test on us. And so thank you for being there for us. I wish you well above and beyond this the jigsaw puzzle that you have. And I didn't have prepared remarks tonight, so I may be rambling here, so I apologize, because I didn't know if it was tonight or tomorrow. But thank you. Thank you for what you've done.
George, first and foremost, thank you for your friendship. And we may not have ever become friends if it hadn't been for a parking lot that the city council approved 35 feet away from residences in South Laguna. 158 homes with an unbelievable disregard for public input passed this city council, if not for you and Tony Eisman, who actually stood up and fought against that. If it weren't for your assistance in preventing that parking lot from being placed in a completely inappropriate location, 35 feet from houses in Laguna. Your assistance in the fight against that it means more and still much more to the families that live there, the quality of life of some 400 residents. Having said that, this is only one example and one small victory in a catalog of achievements that you attained while functioning as a Laguna Beach City Council member. Because of your dedication to serving the residents as opposed to special interests, once again, to serving the residents, we were able to safeguard and prevent a number of highly suspect, you all know what they were, you know what projects were, highly suspect projects in this community from coming to fruition. These are and will be, there will be many more issues that will be approaching in the near future. Your efforts are appreciated and your leadership is admired. But most of all, thank you for listening and being a great friend and advocate for us, the residents of Laguna Beach. Thanks, George. We appreciate it. All you've done. And we hope you come back and do more.
Good evening. My name is Susan Skinner, and I'm here to thank George Weiss for his service to the residents of Laguna Beach. From my perspective, George has always had the best interest of the residents in mind. And when he evaluated various proposals on council, I have found him always willing to listen to my concerns, my perspective, and I respect him for this. Unfortunately, I'm not sure he has received the respect that I think he deserves from everybody that he serves with. And an example of this would be the forward-facing response of some of the longer-serving members of the City Council when George was accused of violating the Brown Act. Instead of first seeking to understand, George was publicly excoriated for sharing information that ended up indeed being a violation of the Brown Act, but a violation that was made by the rest of the council. The Brown Act lays out very clear instructions about what can and cannot be taken into closed session, and it also allows an inappropriate discussion behind closed doors to be outed. If there was an apology to George for the public flogging he received, I missed it. So thank you, George, for everything that you have done for the rest of us. In an era of political incivility, think Peter Blake, and nationally, I really appreciate and respect your civil-mindedness and your civility. And I'm just going to throw out, as somebody that lives part-time in Newport Beach and has term limits for city council members, and someone who lives part-time in Laguna, which doesn't have term limits for city council members, I would be more than happy to discuss an initiative to implement term limits for anybody who thinks that might be needed in this city council. George, thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.
Good evening, City Council. Karen Phillipson. Tonight, I'm wearing my Friends of the Library hat. And when George was elected, Steve Dicterow waved goodbye to us, and George became the liaison for City Council with the Friends of the Library. The board just wanted me to pop by tonight and say thank you. You came in with not only awareness, but complete passion, not just for the Laguna Beach Library, but for all libraries. You also served on the Orange County Supervisors Library Board. You've always been there for us, and as a beautification past president, beautification council, I'm sure we won the award at Friends of the Library for the Fairy Garden just because you always made sure we had enough compost. The life of a council person is very, very busy, but you always made sure to say, hey, they're going to be delivering next week. You better get on the list. Thank you for that. Thank you for everything that you've done. You're leaving us in good hands, but it warms my heart to know that you'll be spending lots more time with your family and your grandkids. So enjoy, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen.
Hi, George. I just want to say thank you so much for your dedication to the city that we all love. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. I want to thank you for your support during my campaign and demonstrating the encouragement to stand up for citizens. Oh, here I go again. Stand up for the citizens of our community and not allow fabricated narratives to distract from the task at hand. And I do look forward to working with you in the future. I want to thank you for demonstrating what transparency looks like while leading within the parameters of good governance. And I want to thank you for providing and demonstrating an open and welcoming dialogue and environment for people to come and speak to. I want to thank you also, George, but also to you too, Bob Whalen, for demonstrating to those of us new to politics how to navigate the public effort to try and slander or smear or humiliate you in public, and know that the truth is always going to set everyone free and allow us to be our own people and speak our own voice. Because as I learned this last week, right, we don't govern with an I, it's a we, but we don't lose track of the me. And I do plan on bringing that forward myself. I also want to take this time to thank you for publicly demonstrating, all of you, how important it is that as a community we find that although we're going to have differences and we're going to disagree, this community means a lot to all of us, or we wouldn't work so hard to be here. And it's by coming together amongst our disagreements and finding a starting point of where we can navigate and negotiate what our community needs as a whole for today and for the future is so important. And if that wasn't understood in this election, then I'm here to encourage you to look at each other and say, you know, we may disagree, but we have to get back to a place where Laguna is our first love as far as a community, and that we can look at each other and say, we're going to disagree, but we're going to go catch a wave tomorrow, and we're going to disagree, and he's going to clean my teeth tomorrow, because that's how it used to be when I first pulled into town in '91. And I really hope that through the work of this change in our community and the change in leadership, that we are getting further and further away from the noise that makes dissent ugly, and welcomes dissent as an opportunity to be the best that we can be for all of the residents of our community. And so for that, I want to thank you. And George, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sherry. You should have seen Sherry at the California School Board Association convention up there. She was the Erin Brockovich of the whole thing. You know, she's great. I just like to say how proud I am of our community, you know, sitting here and watching this. My grandma was my dad's mom was very active in the movement to get the women's vote and get the constitutional amendment passed so that women could vote. And her husband, my grandpa, was a lawyer in Chicago, and he rewarded my grandma for the success when when the constitutional amendment finally got passed by bringing her to Laguna Beach and live here. And she was an amazing woman, but and her spirit has guided me in recent months as I was campaigning and whatnot. But she would be really proud of our town tonight, I think. And because, you know, I just, what I would like to say is that, you know, I sat and watched the city council debates, and I was amazed at how talented the group of people who were running for city council were. And you know, Sherry commented on Bob Whalen. You know, I disagreed with Bob when he was on the school board about a lot of issues and when he's on the city council on a lot of issues, but I've never had an unpleasant conversation with him. I've never felt any personal animosity towards him. I said, he's a really good politician. He can really, he can do something you really disagree with, but you don't get mad at him. I don't know. Maybe some people do get mad at him, but I'm just saying I never have. But, you know, I think this whole thing of how we look at each other when we have adversaries. I was just in a political race where I never got a full 1% ahead of the person who was behind me. And I think I came out at 0.8%. And I thought about the fact that I was listening to tonight that, you know, the people that came here and criticized you, George, you know, the thing about it is we do have adversarial politics and whatnot, but you, to the people who disagreed with you, I would call on them to say, you're a worthy adversary. And I think that if we start to view the people that we don't agree with as worthy adversaries, I think the person that was right behind me by a few tenths of a percentage was a worthy adversary. And instead of looking at it as we're defeating people or we don't like people or anything, you know, at least try to see the qualities in the people that are our adversaries. And I won't ramble on. I just want to say that Tony Eisman she voted against my DRB application, and I was sore, but I got to know her and we became friends. And I think when she was mayor and she handled that alt-right Antifa situation the way she handled it, I think it was one of the most courageous profiles and courage and acts of leadership by a mayor of Laguna Beach in the history of Laguna Beach. And so anyway, last thing I'll say is that I was sitting in my office in Washington, D.C. at the National Security Council, and I watched the school board meetings from there, and I watched the city council meetings back there. And I saw you during that censure proceeding, and I called in. I don't know, Bob, if you remember, I called in from Washington. I said, I don't know who George Weiss is, and I didn't vote for him, never talked to him, but the city council is getting some bad legal advice on this one. And so anyway, that's how I met you, by calling in during the pandemic. Anyway, I've gone on too long, but I think there was a really good field of candidates, and I'm glad you were one of them. And you demonstrated how to be a minority voice with a lot of dignity, and you were a majority voice on some great issues. So I commend you for your service. Thank you, Howard.
Well, I'm the person right behind Howard. My name is Emil Monda. I'm president of the Laguna Beach Republicans. I didn't garner any votes. I didn't run for anything. I'm just here tonight to praise George. This is, I guess, a farewell, I hope temporary. And I want to thank George, who's been an honorable and well-informed city council person for 4 years. My comments today are meant to remind the new city council they are serving in what is considered a nonpartisan office. In other words, citizens are asked to vote for what the candidate stands for, not his party affiliation. As a Republican, I disagree with George on certain things, but I have them to know that George has conducted himself with honor and integrity, not only from the dais, but in his email recaps to the public after each city council meeting. In the recent election that George lost, the city lost one of its dissenting votes. George never turned a policy matter into a personal matter. Supermajorities of enacted policies in the state of California have resulted in net outflow of population. I do not believe that one-party control, Republican or Democrat, ever results in issues being resolved with respect of the minority. On January 20th, 2025, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. There has been animosity expressed by both candidates towards each other. That said, there was no indication that Joe Biden and Donald Trump will not conduct themselves in a cordial manner for the turnover of the presidency to one party from the other who was out of power. So, what I'm really saying is the new city council should think about the admonition given by Lord Acton, who wisely said, "Power tends to corrupt. Absolute power corrupts absolutely." The new Laguna Beach City Council, without George, now has absolute power. And I ask you to think about what Lord Acton said as you deliberate for the city and for its people. Thank you.
Thank you, Emil.
Good evening, City Mayor and City Council. My name is Christy Miller. First, my husband and I wanted to thank each and every one of the council members for all your dedication and your unwavering commitment to our community. So for that, we thank you. Congratulations to Bob and to Hallie for your win. Also to Anne Marie and to Laura. George, I wanted to express our gratitude for your dedication to the community. Your commitment to transparency and open communication has made a difference in the lives of residents. Thank you for prioritizing the needs and concerns of the community. Your efforts to keep us informed are invaluable and have fostered a sense of trust and collaboration. Thank you for your continued support for being a champion of our city. We appreciate all that you've done for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Good evening. First, congratulations to Bob and Hallie on their win. Greg Viviani here. Most of you are aware I'm a third generation, 40-year resident, born and raised here in this amazing town. My mother used to speak at these meetings in the past when I was young, and I remember her coming up here and me standing next to her, and I thought, hey, this is probably a good idea to start doing this. She kind of inspired me. This last summer really sparked my interest to get more involved with the town, city, and city council meetings, not just to speak and to come and have a voice and speak, not just for myself, but also for the residents in our community and our coastal environment. I felt I needed to speak not just because I didn't like the way things were headed with certain things, and realized speaking up and having a voice was how to start change. I appreciate all the city council members here that have helped me and listened to my voice, especially you, George. You helped me with some things that were very important, not just to me, but also with the residents and environment within our town. This town is unique and needs to be protected, especially the things that have lasted through the years and generations that are near and dear to our hearts. It's been great speaking with you on different things that have come up, and I hope you spend some quality time with your grandkids and enjoy calm, short Tuesday nights.
Thank you, Greg. I will.
Good evening, Jerome Pudwill. I wish to thank George for his tireless work representing residents' interests over the past 4 years. Nobody has worked as hard and as diligently as George to protect residents' rights and oppose special interest. Number of issues that crossed my mind. Tiamo, George opposed the purchase. The Brown Act violation, George rightly indicated that it had happened. The censure of Peter Blake, who intimidated residents for years, that was George's doing. The blindsiding of the public for the library. We owe George the library. He is the one who indicated that it could be turned into a parking lot. It was lost and buried in the details. George found those details. Zoom, term limits. George is looking for both of them, yet they're being denied. exposing the Presbyterian parking lot that could have cost us tens of millions of dollars. George brought that to light as well. And because of George's criticism of a highly questionable, probably never should have been elected or chosen city manager, has resulted in Dave Kiff. Every resident should appreciate and thank George Weiss. Without him, there would be no one to stand up for the residents. So thank you, George, for everything you've done for us. You will always be the real mayor of Laguna Beach to me. You'll be sorely missed.
Thank you, Jerome.
Since Thanksgiving was just a couple weeks ago, expressing gratitude still seems appropriate. Every time I drive back into town from the north and past the Rivian Theater, I feel grateful to George Weiss. He brokered meetings between the Rivian team and Laguna Beach Historical Preservation Coalition to renovate our long-shuttered movie theater, even though two of our council members at the time, Councilman Blake and then Mayor Kemp, spoke out against it and turned thumbs down. It is now a showroom for Rivian and a community center for us. When I was at hospitality night last Friday and saw all the families and kids enjoying the fairy garden provided by the hardworking fairy volunteers collecting kids' wishes, I was grateful that it's still there along with our Ocean View Library, just down the street from our high school. It all could have been moved if George Weiss hadn't alerted us to Clause 9 during April spring break in 2022 about, quote, the city investigating the possibility of relocating the Free County Public Library and related services to a new location within the city, which was not mentioned in the agenda recap of the purchase agreement. When I receive weekly text messages and podcasts of interviews from the recent Mayor Kemp about some city council decisions, I feel grateful to Councilmember Weiss for his council recaps, for modeling good communication with our community. Thank you, George Weiss, for being the council member who residents, city employees, and retail business owners felt safe to call for help, and for going beyond listening to seeking answers for solutions with experts across our city and great nation. You modeled with solid investigation looks like, hey, you even managed to find the mechanic to restore Santa's First Ride, Laguna's original fire truck, the Seagrave. And you met with all these people without dipping your snout into the public trough of expensing meals or getting free ones or coffees from local businesses. Always paying your own way, and for those of the people with whom you met. Councilmember Weiss, you modeled public service. And when I look at the current executive city staff, from the city manager to the attorney to community development, you are leaving the city council, our community, and the environment a better place than you found it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Katrina Full, your County Supervisor representing the fabulous 5th District. Thank you. I just wanted to briefly thank Mr. Weiss for his service to our country, to our community, and for prioritizing sustainability in your life's journey here. So thank you. I have a little certificate. Madam Mayor, may I enter the well? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Katrina.
Okay, council, any comments from Councilmember Weiss?
I had one comment I wanted to make, just to make sure people understood. That it was an idea I had to have two separate meetings. It wasn't, especially to Michelle here, there wasn't any and I didn't intend to offend anyone. It was the thought, I bring it with me from two prior cities that I work for, where you have one meeting where you don't do business, so you can just kind of celebrate the people who are leaving and celebrate the people who are coming on. And then you can go out and have dinner afterward and have family pictures and things like that. So it wasn't nefarious. It wasn't the council members asked me about it when I said, we're just doing this to be celebratory. So, thank you.
I appreciate the city manager's honesty about this. I think the council then should have inaugurated it as a regular thing and a permanent thing. We didn't.
I'm requesting a moment for us to give you something that we hope you'll put on the table when you're doing the puzzle. And there's so many of us here who have things and we want to go forward, and I'll start with this.
And the residents would also like to ensure that you have something to drink and eat while you're doing your puzzle. So we have a champagne bucket for you.
Okay, any comments from the council?
I'm humbled.
Yeah, I just want to say, I've enjoyed serving with you, George. We first met when you were on the council, and I think I applied for the Housing and Human Services Committee. And since then, we worked, I think, on two significant issues together. One is housing. You were the leader of the effort to take the short-term lodging revenue above the whatever that number of units is and dedicate that towards housing. And we're very passionate about creating the city's first housing trust, which is so important. And then on the issue of sustainability, I was sort of your number two on the environmental committee, and I feel like there's been so much progress made in the city over the last 4 years, particularly the last 2 years, on creating the city's first climate action plan. I was talking to someone from another city, and there was some report card where they look at what cities are doing on different issues, and apparently what we are doing is at a high level in terms of climate action. So I think I'm grateful for your dedication to the city of Laguna Beach, and for your passion, and look forward to seeing you at future council meetings.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah,
I'll see you tomorrow.
that sounds good.
George, George, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Thank you, first of all, for the campaign that you ran. I think you mentioned at one of our final forums, it was a well-run campaign. No personal attacks. We just campaigned on the merits. I appreciate your doing that. And I know it didn't turn out the way you hoped, but I thought you ran a very straightforward, above-board campaign, and I appreciated that. I also appreciated, serving with you. I don't think, unless you've been on the council like Tony and maybe a couple others, you really don't appreciate the amount of time it takes to do what we do up here. And I know you spent an extraordinary number of hours working at the things that were important to you. And in particular, as Alex says, I think on the climate action plan stuff and the sustainability issues, you really left a mark on that. So, congratulations for that. Thank you for doing that. And sounds like we'll hear more from you on those issues in the future. So,
Thank you, Bob.
appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure serving with you, and George, and I hope that you keep up the work on the Seagrave. Do you plan to stay involved with that, seeing that to come to fruition?
Well, I think we're halfway there, Mark, and I think it's time for Alex and maybe Hallie to take that over. They're big promoters of the fire department, and I think that it's time for them to. We've got the motor taken care of, and now we need to fundraise. And get out your Rolodexes, you two. Well, we need another $100,000.
We need a fundraiser leader.
And if you all want to ride on the 2027 Rose Parade, You need that money to do it.
We'll get it done. Well, anyway, thanks. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate your time spent.
Thank
on
you, Mark.
council.
George, I appreciate all your hard work. You did work very hard on the council. It's
Thank you,
very,
Susan.
it's
Thank you,
it's very difficult to serve on the council. It's a lot of work. And, you know, these decisions we make up here are not easy.
I appreciate it. I'm humbled by everything everybody's said, and I'll try to live up to it in the future. Thank you.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to, so our city attorney informs me that we should ask anybody if they have a comment about the results of the election. Anybody have any election deniers or anything? Okay, okay, all right. All right, with that, we have now a presentation outgoing mayor. Who does that? Oh, Dave's gonna do it at the end? Okay, we're gonna do it at the end. Okay, good. Okay. We're going to do that at the end, apparently. Okay, we are going now to start the swearing in ceremony. And I would like everyone to, I'll just wait. Yeah, we're going to wait a second till.
Long time ago.
No, I can't do that. Climate action power.
I assume that's been the whole room.
Yes, yes. From the after. Yeah.
So if everyone could find a seat that's staying. Where do you want to do it? Here.
Okay, we're going to swear in now our city clerk, Anne Marie McKay. Repeat after me. I, Anne Marie McKay, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations.
Now I will give the oath to City Treasurer Laura Parisi, to Councilmember Bob Whalen, and to Councilmember Haley Jones. If you guys we're all gonna do you at once. Sorry. Getting the show on her. Are they in a good spot for you? Okay. All right, raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations. I have some certificates. Laura's been doing this a while, so I just put it in a nice little black thing. Mayor, is now time for Katrina Foley to.
That's fine, yeah. Hallie, come on up and take your seat.
And I will personally apologize to Councilmember Hallie Jones because the nameplate person didn't have it ready in time. Hopefully by tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to personally apologize to you and Laura because the certificate people didn't have didn't have the certs for. Well, you're the only two cities. Well, this city and Huntington Beach are the only two cities where the clerk and the treasurer are elected. So I think it just escaped them. Congratulations. Okay. Well, I do want to, Katrina Foley, County Supervisor again, I do want to just take a moment to congratulate Bob Whalen on your reelection. Great job. I know you'll continue to do the hard work here in the city of Laguna Beach. We'll continue to partner on the Laguna Canyon Road improvements and try to get that done before both of us retire. And of course, you know, you're always available. You always respond to my calls and texts. So I do appreciate working with you and I appreciate our collaborations. And then also, Hallie, looking forward to working with you in your new role. I know we've worked together. You are my representative on OC Parks for the Parks Commission for the county. And I'm hoping that you'll continue to do that work for me. Thank you. And and then also we've worked with you at the Crystal Cove Conservancy. So I know how hard you work. I know how much you care about the community, how much you care about the environment, and how much you are here to serve, which is what I love about you. So I'm looking forward to working with you and collaborating with you as well. And I know we're gonna do the other ceremony, but I'm gonna take this moment to also thank Sue Kim for your excellent work as mayor.
Thank you.
Really appreciated you this last year and working with you as mayor. I know how much you care. I mean, the great thing about this council is everybody has a unique trait and skill and quality that they bring to the council. Very highly educated, always digging into the issues and trying to understand what is in the best and the greater good for the community. So I really love working with all of you, and I'm looking forward to a continued partnership. So thank you, Sue,
Thank you,
for
Katrina.
leading the city of Laguna Beach. Thank you. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, we'll do it when we do that.
Katrina, thank you. Would anybody like to come up and say anything about the 4 newly electeds here? No obligation or anything, but, okay. All right, at this time, we have one more order of business here, and that is the selection of mayor and mayor pro tem. So at this time, I'll open the,
I think you want to, well, I want to hear from Hallie. We got comments from newly elected council
I'm sorry.
members.
Yeah.
Know how to do this yet. I'll be very brief. I just cannot say thank you enough to this community, to the incredible city staff, to my fellow council members, as well as Judy and George. I'm grateful that we ran a relatively clean campaign. We got done what we needed to get done. I think the election was as effective as it could have been in this little community. So thank you to everybody. I especially have to thank my family who are sitting all back in that row. Particularly my son, without whose support I never would have agreed to embark on this adventure. So thank you, buddy. Thank you to everybody.
I will be brief as well because a lot of you have heard a lot from me over the years, but I'm very grateful to be reelected. I appreciate so much, the support in the community. In a lot of ways, I think, being reelected is even more meaningful in some ways than the first election, in the sense that, you've performed, you've done what you did for 4 years, and the voters decided you did a decent job with it, and they've reelected you. So I take that responsibility very seriously, as I always have. I expect to continue to work hard. I look forward to working with Sherry and Howard, and the rest of the school district. And there's, a lot to be done, really. There's no shortage of things for us to get done. It's a long list of issues, and we will work through it. And I think, we'll have our challenges, but I think this council's up to it. So very appreciative of our community, over an 80% turnout in the vote, which was well above the countywide. We have an active, engaged community, which I think is why so many of us love living here and being involved. We are committed, we're passionate, except for this one person in the second row over here who is out cold. So that's, I wish I could rest like that. That's so. But anyway, thank you again to the entire community, and look forward to continuing to communicate with all of you on issues and, move the city forward as we always try to do. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Don't we all wish we had a neck like that?
Yeah, no kidding.
A baby is out. Okay, now this time it's,
Nominations for mayor.
yeah, time to nominate for mayor and mayor pro tem. So I'll open the floor for nominations for mayor.
So, Madam Mayor, I'd like to nominate Mayor Pro Tem Alex Renagi for mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Congratulations, Mayor. Okay, now we'll do the selection of Mayor Pro Tem.
Sure.
I'm going to open the nominations for Mayor Pro Tem. And I am going to nominate Councilmember Mark Orgill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Congratulations, Mark. Now we'll do the ceremonial changing of the seating. Mark's going over there. Where am I going?
You get to choose.
Well, I'll go wherever. I don't care.
Well, for now, we're going to sit here.
Okay.
You can always change it.
Okay. I don't care. Raise up the chair, Mark.
I'm lowering the chair. So I wanted to just start by thanking my colleagues up here for this responsibility to be the mayor of my hometown. Laguna's history has been shaped by visionary leaders, entrepreneurs, and artists. All of us here are standing, I feel, on the shoulders of giants who came before us and who provided the leadership that really is essential to what makes Laguna such a unique and special place. Living up to that legacy is a daunting responsibility, and it's something that I think all of us up here really care a lot about and spend a lot of time thinking about. I want to express my gratitude to several key groups of people that are really essential to making the city run. The first is our city staff, who, being in city government, especially these days, is a difficult job and often thankless. There's long meetings. Tonight, thankfully, is not one of those meetings. But I think about our policemen, our firefighters, our lifeguards, who are literally willing to put their lives on the line for all of us. That's something that I take very seriously, and we have an obligation to do our best to ensure they have the resources that they need to do their job well. So that's something that I'm always thinking about. There are two employees, if you didn't know, who we appoint. And over the last 2 years, we've had the opportunity to appoint two of those employees. So I want to start with our city attorney. For the first time in 41 years, we brought in a new city attorney. And Megan Garibaldi has been a key part of our team, and I'm so grateful for her selfless service that goes just above and beyond. Her intelligence, her commitment, and her legal skills are only exceeded by her kindness and sense of humor, because I think being the city attorney of Laguna Beach, you can't do it without a sense of humor. and then our city manager. I really feel that Dave Kiff is the best city manager in the state of California. And if it's good that well, I hope maybe he will do it at some point, but if Dave ever ran for any political office in Laguna Beach, I think he'd beat any of us up here. So but I think if you had a lab and you were trying to figure out how to make the perfect city manager for the city of Laguna Beach, I think it would be Dave. So I'm really grateful, Dave, for willing to come down from Healdsburg to be back in Laguna Beach and to take on this this job that is not often easy. So we're grateful for you, Dave. I think, and then finally our residents. Our residents are who we do this work for. We have Laguna Beach is a place with probably some of the most talented, interesting residents of anywhere. It's funny. So we have appeals that come before us. And so we go into residents' houses. I go into people's bedrooms when I'm visiting to look at a view issue or a privacy issue. And during those conversations, when I meet different people in the community, I never walk away, or I rarely walk away without having some interesting conversation, because that's just the caliber of the residents that we have in town. I particularly want to say that having, and it's not just the people who agree with me or who support me or like me, but I find that disagreement is often the best way to really dig into these important issues. And I want to be, when I'm wrong, I want people to tell me why I'm wrong. And so I appreciate residents who are willing to show up at these council meetings and express their opinion, and just because they care about Laguna Beach. Stepping back, I really feel that we live in a time where it's easy to be disillusioned in the ability of government at all levels to solve the most basic problems. It's not just, citizens who feel the way. That's how I often feel. And many of the problems that we deal with, like wildfire prevention, climate change, housing affordability, they are not basic, but instead incredibly complex. So in Laguna Beach, we can't control what happens at the state, federal, or even global level, of course. But what we do have is the ability to tackle complex challenges right here in Laguna Beach that are vital to what makes this place so special. I'm not sure if you know, but 2027 will be our city's 100th year anniversary. 1927 is when we were incorporated. And I think that really demands reflection, because 100 years, that's a long time. And this really is a pivotal moment to achieve results on longstanding issues, from reducing wildfire risk to ensuring local water and sewer reliability. Not always an interesting issue, but nothing's more important. Protecting our environment, revitalizing our downtown, creating housing for artists and seniors, and mitigating visitor impacts. We have important work ahead. And while complex challenges rarely have easy solutions, I'm really confident in this council, the city manager's ability to deliver meaningful progress for our community. So I'm really excited for what's ahead and for working with all the members of the community and my colleagues up here on the dais. So thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, sure. Ditto. I look forward to backing Alex up and working alongside as I have the last 2 years with the rest of the council. It's been great, Bob, and his experience that he's had. He's really been quite a mentor, and I really appreciate it. Sue, her and I have worked on quite a few projects together, and I think we're going to see the fruition of what this council, previous council, has worked on, and I really think that we have a unique opportunity now with this particular council, and as Alex said, with our new legal Megan, and of course our famous city manager now. I like to embarrass him. So anyway, I really look forward to it, and a lot of exciting things to come. And thank you for trusting in us all.
Councilmember Kemp, do you want to add anything?
Congratulations, you guys. So I'm looking forward to Alex doing all this mayor work. There's a lot of work to do. Mark will be doing some of it. There's a lot to do, but you guys are going to be great. I'm happy with the new council. I think we're going to do good things. And I think the community is going to get the council they deserve.
Supervisor Foley, do you have something to contribute?
Okay, thank you for the privilege to once again come before you. I want to first congratulate Councilmember Orgill and Mayor Pro Tem on your new position. And I'm looking forward to our meetings with you and Mayor Runagi. Oh, that sounds good. Because, you know, we're really trying to do our best to collaborate with our cities that we represent. And so I know you have a lot of great ideas, and I can't wait to work with you on those ideas. And I have a little certificate for appreciation. And also, Mayor Runagi. So yours is a little bigger. And look, I have a special fondness for Alex because he started working in my office when I first got elected to the Board of Supervisors. And so he experienced firsthand what it's like to be hazed, what it's like to be you're the only dissent or you're the only advocate for a particular issue. I think he learned a lot working in our office about how you have to collaborate with everyone. You have to meet people where they are, whether it's political or geographic. And so I do think he learned a lot, and I think it'll benefit you all as residents here and businesses here in the city of Laguna Beach. And he continues to learn. And yes, he's going to be hardworking because even I think maybe last week, it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm getting a text. What do you think about this issue? And so he's very, very informed about the local issues, informed about the state issues. He has constantly thinking about how to do things better, how to be more efficient, and how to be more effective. And that's that's what you can hope for in a mayor and a city council member. So I'll be expecting you at the mayor's meetings so that we can work together to the benefit of Laguna Beach. So thank you, Alex, for taking on this challenge.
Yeah, there was a
Don't want to encroach on your space.
You're already doing your job.
For those of you who haven't met her, this is Morgan Goldstein. She's our district representing.
So we only have one outstanding order of one outstanding item on the agenda, and that's recognition of our outgoing mayor, Mayor Sue Kempf. So I have a gavel, another plaque. I'll just say, I think over the last year, during your tenure as mayor, you were involved with, we had an interim city manager, we hired a city manager. It's been a very interesting year, to say the least. And what I think many of the I think most residents who've interacted with Sue can attest to the fact that nobody works harder on behalf of the city. When if you have an issue with, you know, a building permit or trying to navigate one of our processes that sometimes are too complicated, and we're working on that. Sue always goes above and beyond to help people find solutions, and really, that's what local government's all about, I think. And Sue, in particular, has worked on, you know, visitor impacts, on fire mitigation, on looking at our insurance crisis issues, and so I think the citizens of Laguna Beach are better off because Sue, because of your service as mayor and your ongoing service on the city council. So I'm grateful to work with you, and looking forward to working together for the next 2 years. That's it for this evening. So we will adjourn the city council meeting to our regularly scheduled meeting for Tuesday, December 10th, tomorrow night.
Mayor Renagi?
Yeah.
Could all of the council come to the front? You can go ahead and adjourn it once we're, with your Keep Laguna Kind hats, and I'll give one to you too for a photo.
Okay. So yeah, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thanks.
Thanks.